Welcome to Beyond the Whistle, the official podcast of the NHSCA. Here we go past the highlights to talk about the stories, the lessons, and the voices shaping sports. In today's episode, I talk with Buchanan High School head wrestling coach Troy Tirapelle to talk about building and sustaining a championship culture, handling the spotlight, coaching in the current landscape of sports, and so much more. So let's go Beyond the Whistle with Troy Tirapelle. I'm very excited to talk to somebody that's been super welcoming for me over the years of covering wrestling, Troy Tirapelle. Awesome coach at Buchanan. It's been really great to be a part of some of your rivalries, see some of the success over the years. And I want to dig in and start talking about building success. You've had a lot of success in a championship program for a very long time. And on everyone's mind is how do you sustain that, right? Every year is a different, outside of a couple of returning guys, you have a different crop of athletes, a different crop of personalities that are coming through your room. So how do you maintain that success and set a cultural standard so everybody knows what you're about when you become their coach from, that 8th grade year into that freshman year of high school?
There's a couple different elements there of talking about like how did you get to success and then how to sustain. There's a lot of ways, but what I've kind of honed it down through the years that I think are the key elements in order for it to work. It's never one way like to do it, but I think in order to have all these, like they have to have these certain components. The biggest one I see, and when I speak, I'm going to speak mostly from the California high school lens perspective because that's where I'm located. So I don't know if this is true in every single state, but from what I see is to getting to success. Let's start with that. It's a process. And I'm going to say right now that I was guilty of falling on the negative side of this, meaning twice, not just once. I'm stubborn, hard-headed, in the way of like everyone that I've seen does this and does a good job, at least initially, comes in thinking they're going to set the world on fire. Again, guilty, me included. Twice, two different schools. You always think you have this competitive nature probably as an athlete, and you want to get there, and you want to get there with the kids now that you're trying to help, and you always think that you can, or at least from what I've seen, and me doing it twice, that you can overwork the process, meaning you can speed it up by like, well, I'll just outwork the competition. I'll just do more. And that's I go, it doesn't work like that. Again, from doing it twice, at least if I went to a third school, I'm not going to lie, I might fall for it again. That's just my personality. But it doesn't matter. When you show up and when you start to set your standards, and we'll talk about that stuff like in your culture and stuff, like you see an initial jump of like you pass up 80% of the people within year one, if not by year two. But that last, what everyone talks about, 10 to 20, that's the hard part. That takes a while. You're jumping immediately over everyone who's not working hard like you. But that cultural shift, that structure and standards takes years to get through. And I always kind of lead off with this, and even when I talk in other things, because I see this all the time, meaning you see people jump into a program and you're thinking that program's taken off, and I don't want to call anyone out, but like it's like, man, look how well they've done in 2 years. This is gonna be great. By year 3 or 4, when they didn't beat us or beat Clovis before us or beat Poway, who's always a good team, they give up. They quit. They've already burned themselves out. And I was like, and it's not good for the programs. It's not good for the sport. It's not good for the kids. Like, again, the best way I can describe it is that moniker, they're coming in setting the world on fire, but in 3 years they burned out like gasoline and on to the next coach. And you see them go like, fall off the cliff immediately. Once that one group of kids it takes time. I said it's not an answer most people like to hear. I was like, but if your sights are high, if I believe in it for the right reasons, like you're coaching like kids in wrestling really to teach them like kind of life skills of like deal with adversity, like how can you commit, how can you show toughness, like that's really kind of what they're kind of supposed to get out of this, like the byproducts on the mat of the winning. And I know they like that, but that goes away. Like it really starts to take most effect, I tell people, in your second crop of kids. Like I started with a great freshman class at Buchanan, meaning they were talented, but they had no one before them to kind of show them outside of me. So like I rode them with 4 years and they got better, but we never in my mind achieved our our actual like peak, because there was no peers or like kids older than them kind of showing them. It was the next group that really got to see the pure benefits of everything that we were doing. Because like I said, it was about year 6 before I could say it was like now it's kind of rolling.
Yeah. And you mentioned how you came in and you've done it twice with 2 different schools where you felt like you were going to come in and be that instant impact, right? And when it didn't happen, what was your response to it? Obviously, as wrestlers, you have a certain response to losing, but as a coach, it's different. How did you respond?
And you are impactful to an extent, like meaning you, like I said, the first thing you jumped all the like okays, I call them, like, the moderate, the average people, like, but again, if you're doing this and really putting in the time that like it takes to be a top level program, like you're not aiming for being the 80 percentile, like, so it keeps it in perspective. They're always trying to strive for more. So yeah, no, it's an extremely tough pill to swallow, especially if you came from the athletic side of it, and I came immediately from the athletic side. It's like you want it so much and want it for them and so quickly, but ultimately you don't score any points. I found quickly all I could do was give up team points, and I was pretty good at that early on. Had to calm down a bit. But like, yeah, it's ultimately them. You're just opening the door, showing them the way. Like, and you have to. It's tough. It's the first thing when I jumped in. I always used to. My dad was our original coach, let's say, through high school and even young for the most part, and other coaches. But he'd always talk about how tired he was after the tournaments, and I'd always think to myself, "Why are you tired? I did all the wrestling." Oh my God, those first years, every match, and you're so emotionally draining, and you're not very good, so it's even harder on you. It's like it. And then I started to feel like after you're like a zombie. It felt like by about the second half of the day.
Yeah. And, you talk about how it takes time. The success didn't just balloon. It didn't just come. It was definitely something that took time. But how did you stave off the or not so much the inconsistency, but like the I guess the relative just part of you that wants to be like, we've arrived, right? How did you stay consistent and not get complacent, I think is what I was looking for. Not get complacent when you did have that first success.
I think there's a couple reasons that. I think one for me, if I was doing something, I always wanted to try to be the best at it. So like individually, for me, when I looked at it like innate, or even if you want to call it selfishly, like if I'm going to do this, like I have to do it wholeheartedly. I got to see it through. But like furthermore on that kind of thing, like that's what we're preaching to the kids. I tell them all the time, like if it's not hard, then who cares when you do it? It's no big deal. If everything was just easy, we say this all the time, everyone would do it. That's why a lot of people don't wrestle. Like you don't come out and immediately have a lot of success. You don't come out and immediately you're at the top of the echelon. Like that's very difficult for most good athletes to take. I can step on the football field. I can step on this and I'm immediately one of the best, if not the best player in wrestling. You always take your lumps before you can give them. So staying the course, like we preach and teach as coaches, and even like coaches to me when I was the athlete, like the idea of if this work is going to pay off, it's going to be a bigger benefit. It's going to be a bigger reward, even if you're only looking at the end product at the end, like when you get there, because of the work that you put into it. Like that was always kind of in the back of my mind. Like third wise for me looking, really putting me under the microscope here. I was the youngest of 3 kids. Followed me, through. Now I'm going to get in trouble for that one. 4 kids, 3 boys. I cannot forget my sister, and I will get ripped for that. Of 3 boys, and that followed through, father coached, and then went to all Illinois. Honestly, like my college career didn't end up exactly how I'd hoped, with a little bit of injury and stuff. And when I got back, I honestly didn't even really think that I was going to coach. Like that wasn't like when I went to college, I wasn't planning on being a teacher, coach, and stuff like that. I had other kind of aspirations, and I fell into this where with how things ended up in life, I knew that I wanted to stay involved with sports somehow. And I like the idea of competition. So like this kind of just made sense, let's say. And I have taken an absolute love to it. But this thing, the course that we talk about, and going through the grind and having to like kind of take it a little bit before you can give it, let's be honest, it was something I almost had to prove to myself. My brothers, and God bless them type thing, like ended up, and I'm so happy. I'm sure they would say that they wish I was better than them, but I'm so glad did more than me. But I didn't get to, in my mind, and maybe it's only my mind, lived up to where they set the bar, at least in college. So this was another way that I could give back, compete, and even, to be honest, prove even just to myself that I could do something outside the box instead of, like I said, always be, and nothing against Clovis, and I would have loved the opportunity to coach with my brother and dad, but it was a way that, something I needed to do for myself to show that I know maybe it's harsh to say that I wasn't a failure. At the time of my ending college, that's what I thought of myself as, at least on the competing side.
Yeah, and that's something that a lot of athletes have to go through too, right? Is like figuring out what that next step is when lacing up the shoes and stepping on the field, the court, the mat isn't where you're going to take your next steps. And in that first year of you coaching, you're trying to overcome so many things, right? The failure that you feel of not having the career you wanted, and stepping away from your brother and your dad over at Clovis and going to Buchanan. There's so many different things. How did you balance that within yourself as a coach to not put that frontward facing as you're trying to shape these young minds and get them to believe in what you're trying to, I guess, manufacture at this new school?
I wouldn't say I was great at it, because my wife told me several times that I can't come home and bring all my problems. I was like, that was a several time conversation. But I think one of the ways that this is just my personality is if I'm going to do something, I'm going to go all in on it. But I think what makes it at least doable or acceptable by the kids and their families, or even my colleagues and your admin and stuff, is that I'm emotional, yes. I've definitely calmed down as I've gotten older. I've done this almost 20 years now through the two schools. Wear my emotions on my sleeve, but I'm wholeheartedly in. And when I say wholeheartedly in, I care about those kids and those families more than just on the mat. Like, they're not wins and losses to me. They are not, like, whether they wrestle in college. I tell them all the time, I mean, I love for them. I'll be their biggest fan. I could care less if they're an Olympic champion in wrestling. My job is to get you to college and to graduate college. Like, hopefully, wrestling is a conduit for that, that you get helped, especially now with NIL. But, like, I hope you leave your name everywhere and pictures on all the walls that you get to grace. I was like, but my job is to give you the tools to eventually do the things you want and support your family and grow up in life and do whatever way you choose to take it after that. Because of that, I think that my in your face, super hard on them, again, worse when I was younger, was acceptable. And like, because they knew that I might be, crawling down their throat yelling at them, but I'm the first one picking them back up when they get knocked down. So they're getting it from both angles. I was, again, shown this by my father, and even when we went to Illinois, like, that's how Coach Johnson did it with us. Like, he was your father figure. He was there to make you a better man, not just a better wrestler. Like, if he bought into you, recruited you, like, everyone was treated the same. Like, you could be the full ride blue chip or the walk-on one-time state placer, and you were expected to do everything and expected to hold the high standard of Illinois wrestling at the time.
Yeah. And that's something else that you mentioned about families, right? And the kids and the families that come into that wrestling room, you guys all become a family. You do it together. You're traveling together. You're going to this tournament or that tournament, no matter how far away it is. But over those years, parents change, perspectives change. Parents want their kid to be the best right out the gate. How do you, obviously managing the kids is one thing, but how do you manage the parents that maybe want it more than the kids do sometimes?
It's consistent, that's for sure, meaning you always have this. And probably worse now with NIL. I'm not a huge fan of that. In the way of, I'm glad that kids are getting more what they need and on that respect, but what it's created in my mind, and it's even trickled down in the high school, is we've always fought individuality in wrestling. And people would say, what do you mean individual is good? No, there are good aspects of it. Like, I love that you don't have to be on the best team and you can still win. Absolutely. I can make that on. But it's not about each individual. It's about the team. What we stress more than I bet anyone else in the country, I'd be willing to put my name on that, is how much it goes. Program is the most important. Our program, meaning we feed our elementaries through our junior high and up. But you could talk about club or whatever. But program, team, and then the self. Now, everyone's like, what do you mean you don't care about the individuals? I go, let's be honest, 9 times out of 10, the individual success and what's best for the individual like goes right in line with that. Mm-hmm. But we are not going to put the individual over the team. It's a hard line, and I never have and never will. That doesn't sit great with everyone. I'd say it sits great with, again, at least 9 out of 10, because we don't get too many people leave, and we have been pretty successful in it. As long as you're transparent, meaning they can come to me and ask me anything. I tell them the answer. Sometimes they don't like it. When you try to avoid the issue or avoid conflict, all you do is fester a wound. Like, it makes it so much worse. Like, you have to hit it head on. And I'm not saying, oh, you want confrontation? No, I don't want any confrontation. But if they have a question, you have to answer it. Like I said, and I treat it as no one's bigger than the program, including myself. If I'm not following a rule, feel free, call me out on it. Doing it that way over time. And then the biggest part I think of this, besides my own transparency, and I said I'm willing to answer, is when you can get your best kids, and I'll just call it best families, but best kids, the kids are having the most success. The kids are going to buy in and do it and adhere to it and not try to challenge you on it because you talk to them and explain the important stuff. Pretty hard for not the other ones to do it. I said, but you have to be willing to hold the line on them and tell them the importance of it and explain why we're doing anything, and then it just becomes a vicious cycle, but in a great way. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, you still have your bumps and stuff along the road, but when you can point to the aspects and the examples, like everything we do, I feel like for the most part of Buchanan. Don't get me wrong, when I say we, like, I love giving our kids notoriety. Knowing wrestling, anyone who knows wrestling, how many things that we do, it doesn't matter, coaches to athletes, like, that are behind closed doors. I don't mean like that in a bad way. I'm just saying all the stuff that's hard, the crap that no one sees, to get that one moment in the spotlight to be able to enjoy it and embrace. Like, we want to give our kids notoriety. That's why we do things like the duel with Clovis and try to throw them out there and have all the fun and fireworks and all this. Like, hey, we acknowledge the hard work and all the things you do. So we want to throw you out there and let you bask in the glow a little bit. But I'm not trying to create a bunch of individuals. Like, my whole goal is to create a team. Like, and I tell them the example of, like, we do little things, and these are just little rules we have. We look different by looking the same, especially this is a problem in California. Like, everyone's wearing their own shirt and their own this, and they're going to, no offense, I said I'm going to use Oklahoma State because I love what they're doing there, and David Taylor's doing a great job. But we're Buchanan, not Oklahoma State. When you're wrestling for Buchanan, you're wearing a Buchanan wrestling shirt. I love that you want to go there. You're going to go there. Stilly Boys is a great moniker. I think that's really catchy, and it's going to be awesome. I was like, but you're not wearing that at Buchanan wrestling events. Like, we're going to wear Buchanan. We're going to look exactly the same different by looking exactly the same. We're a little army. They'll stand out, and we'll stand out because you'll be a good wrestler. We don't need your name written on the singlet. You don't need to wear pirate-looking socks. Like, people will know you if you're good enough. It's pretty simple.
Yeah. Have you, I mean, obviously you change as you grow as a coach, but as the sports landscape changes, and you've mentioned, NIL and whether you love it or hate it, whatever it is, you also have to change your approach or your philosophies. Have you seen yourself change as a coach as the cultural landscape around sports in general have started to shift?
I definitely calmed down, Jets, but that's just aging. I was like, but not a lot on the individual stuff. I'll say where we have changed a little bit is so when we wrestled a long time ago in Illinois, I'm just going to use Illinois because we were there. They did a lot of club wrestling, and I know club wrestling is bigger in the back east, Philadelphia, and the Young Guns and all those great programs and things they do. That wasn't a thing in California for a long time. Like, even after I graduated college in 2008 and came back and started coaching, like, we haven't had a real, let's say, club scene, I'm going to call it. And I wouldn't even say it's still not real, like, back east and stuff, but there are enough clubs now, and our clubs doing stuff where like what I have changed is because they like doing the clubs, and I'm glad with it. We used to commandeer, dominate all their time in the off season, like do everything with them because one, we sucked. But we had to get better. And people always ask me why we didn't do much freestyle or Greco. I go, I have a hard enough time teaching them one style. Like we just got to get better at one at this point. We're not good enough. As you can see, more of our kids do it now, but we're a little better. But the other reason for that is the clubs have become more prevalent. And I really enjoy the clubs in the way of they get out of our room, meaning it just becomes too much over time. It starts to wear on you. You're really just punching a clock rather than really trying to get better. The fact that they're now going and doing it offsite and in nice rooms and with other people, mostly at a lot of the clubs that I've gone and seen and stuff, it's a lot of our own kids. But it's just almost like a weight off their shoulders. It's somewhere new, somewhere seen. So it's not through that whole thing. Like it's really made it, they get a different person kind of, encouraging, yelling at them, whatever they needed that day. It makes it where less of a drain. So when they do get back to me, and we still do stuff, I've just made it less requirements in the off season. So because I'm going to be honest, until I did make it less, I was doing the same. And then when I'd go and take my young son over, I'd see all the kids. It's like, dude, you're doing 8 practices in the off season. This is not a good plan. You're going to wear out when we need you. So I've made the adjustments and worked with the clubs. They've been great. Where you don't need to do that. Like that's not, you can't train like that all year long. So I've noticed that that's kind of the biggest change we've done is, hey, they're doing more and I see what they do, a get in and compete style. So we pulled it back to, like a 2-day a week this time. And we're going to focus hardcore on specific technique that takes a long time to go over. So I'm giving them something different because when we get to the season, we're going to more training atmosphere. So it's been a more, let's say, congruent, I think, a complementary effort with the clubs. That's, I'd say, is the biggest kind of change.
Has being a dad made you shift a little bit, too? You talked about your son and taking him. Has made him, doing things with him made you shift a little bit?
I would say, honestly, more the coaching has meaning I'm doing a program where I don't just focus on him has probably been better for our relationship in general. Because I see some others, and so like I'm on him, but I don't need to be on him all the time because there's other coaches in there, and I got to help other people. And he knows that. Like, so that part's been good. To be honest, having 4 kids in general has, like I said, made me step back as I'm sure you can probably tell from how I talk and stuff. I'm pretty in your face, pretty controlling, pretty. Not that no one else could do it, but like, they're not going to do it how I want. I got to go. The being 4 kids and has made me have to step back, which has been a good thing in the way of the other coaches need to do more and learn these aspects that I was kind of dominating because before I had kids and stuff like I had enough time. Now you find out real quick, time is your most finite resource. With 4 kids that are getting into stuff, I can't dominate everything anymore. So whether I like it or not, and to be honest, it's been a good thing. The other coaches, can do things. And I mean, I should have recognized that. They knew that and I should have done it, but it's been good for them and they're growing. And heck, I'm not going to do this forever. So someone's got to be able to take it over. I put a lot of my life now into Buchanan. I wouldn't want to see it drop when I do finish.
Yeah. And, we've talked about family and, I talked about how your dad was your coach as well, and your brother's been your coach. But has there been people in your life that you've looked up to, right? As wrestlers, we're like, oh, I want to wrestle like David Taylor or Jordan Burroughs or whatever else. As coaches, there's so many different coaches from all different walks of life. Has there been a coach that has given you advice or that you've tried to emulate maybe their philosophies or their coaching style or their cultural building?
I'd say a lot. I'm going to narrow it down to where to coach. Like I have to give my dad love, obviously, in the way of it's my father, and we are hopefully this doesn't make it sound bad. Tirapelle credo, meaning we live by blood is thicker than water. Like, so you're always a family first type thing. Like, even though I'm at Buchanan, I always said, especially when I was starting, I could reach out at any moment to Adam, who had been doing it longer with my dad over dad, and anything that I was struggling on, needed, like that, like they're there to help. As much as people think, oh, you're fighting at the Thanksgiving table. No, not really. Actually, help each other more than anything. Nowadays, I laugh because we're more at the same level. We've done this long enough that we mostly just laugh at each other's shortcomings and what's going wrong, right, in the programs, because we're 3 miles apart. You can't really hide anything. So it's more just like a funniness. When we went to, people don't realize how hard this is. And I'm not trying to give California kids excuses. We need to do better, but one of the things that would help us do way better is colleges in California. But we need to do better at the college level. Mark Johnson is, I consider almost, and my dad is an excellent father, but is like, I consider him like a second father. When you're talking about setting cultural and stuff, I guess I alluded to it earlier, he ran that thing like a little family, I say a huge family, 35 kids on a team, and he was the father figure. And I always say respect comes from both love and fear. And you had both for him, and you didn't want to lose his respect. Because like I said, he coming from California, like, especially in your freshman year, like August, September, like, it's a honeymoon. You're in college, you get all the freedom in the world, everything's great, everything's new. You're probably not doing the greatest unless you're Jack's Forest and those in September, but you're learning, taking your lumps. You got to take your lumps before you give them. October comes, you're in full swing of things, and I'm obviously dating myself. You get into November, and most of your freshmen are redshirting. Well, they can go home on the weekends. Most of them are from Illinois, or at least Indiana, or right next to Ohio. Like, you could drive, and it's 4 hours at home, 2 hours at home. Like, you're getting near Thanksgiving, and like, you're homesick. Not only are you not doing as much winning as you were killing everyone in your room, to first figuring out how to survive. Now probably competing, but you're in the full swing of things. And there's a good chance you're not in the lineup. You're redshirting. Like, you're not the spotlight. You're not, everyone's not worried about you. Like in the room, like you're just another guy. Like, all of these things are extremely hard to accept. And then never being able to go home. Like, when he's checking on you at Thanksgiving, and then if you don't have a place, forcing you to his house. And so did Jim Heffernan. And so did that's how they ran the program. Like, those are little things that go a long way. And, like I said, I always took it maybe a little bit for granted because, well, my dad did stuff like that, but it was my dad. It's your dad. That's what you do. Like, seeing it from a different perspective where it wasn't actually my biological father, and someone, like I said, doing this, kind of setting that standard. And like I said, whether you were on full ride to 10% to walk on, like, was irrelevant. Everyone wore all the same things. Like, if you didn't have, and I hope he sees this sometime so he can laugh, the mid-calf plain white sock on, you got sent back down 3 stories to put on the team issued gear and then come back to practice. And you got one warning, then you were in trouble from his, like, those are things that stayed with me, that I didn't get to finish how I'd like. And yet 4 years after I graduated, he came to my wedding. He flew from Illinois and attended my wedding. Like those are going above and beyond. That's why I do it the way I do at high school. I can't do everything the same. I'm not their full father, but I tell it at our parent meetings. I go, guys, and ladies and gents, like, I'm going to be extremely hard on your kids. I'm going to be extremely hard on your kids because I care about them like they're my own kids. I go, I can't be their father. I'm not claiming I'm my father. But if I'm going to hold them to the same standards that I hold my kid to, like, and it's because I care. Like, you're never going to see me say anything to your kid that I won't say to my own kid. Like, know that's like, not trying to get myself, like, truthfully, because I love them, because I want the best for them. I go, if I wasn't yelling at him, I go, that's bad news. I was like, I don't think it's happened yet, but that means I've given up. There's nothing else I can do. I've slammed my head against the wall too many times. I'm not getting through to him. I don't know what else to do. I don't think I've had that happen yet, but it carries weight. It goes a long way in my mind. I think that's why we're able to keep, like I said, that cultural impact and like that program, that team at Buchanan. I'd said, to be honest, he's going to hate me for this too. He's too old now, but I'd honestly kind of like to see Mark Johnson transported into the NIL era and see if it's still even doable, still even capable. I don't know. Like I said, I don't like it. But again, I'm not receiving money. So I was like, but I don't think it's a good thing for any sport, nonetheless wrestling. But we've created individuals now out of the supposed major leagues, basically. And now we've just pulled it into the college level. And probably it reaches into some of the high school level, unfortunately. I said, I know when it does for me, I'm out. I'm here about team, like I said, and like I said, in all aspects of it. And you can have the individual success, and I hope you accomplish and meet all your dreams and go on, in this case, and make big money, but it's not for me.
Now, the last question I have for you is, we talked a lot about career and family and coaching style. As you've gone into, like you said, almost 20 years of coaching over 2 schools, and you look back at your career, obviously you wouldn't change anything, but what would you tell your younger self about the journey, or about, something that they're going to go through that you feel would have just made it a little bit easier for you as you were coming through your career?
I would say the advice I gave to other ones, but it wouldn't be true. Pace yourself, because I don't know how to do it. Luckily, I'm just so stubborn, arrogant that I just would fight through it anyway. Because there were times when I was freaking a zombie, worn out. But I wouldn't change that part. I said, you have to live and learn, and you have to make the mistakes. That makes you who you are. I would say the biggest thing that I've learned, honestly, and it's hard. It's the hardest thing I've learned, but I've learned to accept it more, and that's what I think that has helped my longevity. Is the best advice I can give to young people, and it's not. They can't take this out of context. You have to care. Everything I've talked about is caring, building relationships. Like I said, I see myself as a father figure. You can say uncle, whatever, because not their father. You have to care. But you also have to realize that you can't save everyone. And there were many, many sleepless nights, sleepless weeks, like years after thinking about, well, what if we said, not like now, at least I'm smart enough in the last 5 years, maybe more, but definitely 5 years, that I figured, no, I did that right. Like looking back on it, meaning sometimes they just got to learn the hard way. Whether it's kids or families, like sometimes you have to cut out a cancer before it infects the rest of the thing. Like it's not fun. It's still not fun. I've learned it, and it still sucks. I can accept it easier now. Before it would bother me, and I said, I know it bothered my wife. She's like, you can't. I go, well, not like get into it, but at each other's throats, but like just it wore on me, and I'm better at understanding. At times you have to do, like I said, that team, what's good for the whole team. Don't get me wrong, I still did it back then. I never was individual based, but it crushed me, and it crushed me for a long time. And like I said, I wasn't myself. Now, through the years, I figured out, and seeing back, and I think a lot of it's helped of those kids coming back later and saying, you know what, you were right. I wish I would have done this. I said, I feel bad. I hate feeling like, see, I told you you'd regret it. But I think that's what helped me to get past, well, you're always in the back of your mind wondering, well, what if I gave him a break? What if I held on longer? What if I did that? It doesn't do you good in the end. So unfortunately, sometimes it's addition by subtraction. And kids have to learn sometimes the hard way. And it's still hard for me to say it. I'm fumbling on the words a little bit because it sucks, and I feel like a little bit of a POS even when I say it. But it's true. If I got, I'm going to use easy numbers, 100 kids, and I can help 98 of them more by getting rid of 2, or I can hold on to the 2 and maybe they infect 20. And it's never the first time. It's never. I'm never a one and done guy by any means. It pretty much doesn't matter what you do for the most part. That's what we're in coaching or teaching. I'm a teacher as well. You're in the service-based industry. Our job is to help them grow. We know, you and I, we all made mistakes. I still make them. The ideas I tell them, I go, it's okay. It's called a mistake if we can learn and grow from it. It's only a habit if you keep doing the same thing. Then I got to get rid of you because you have bad habits. You're a bad person. When you fix them, you can come back. But it definitely affected me hard. But I think that is tied to caring a lot, which I think was one of my better traits. Because, man, I was mean sometimes. I'm mean because I'd be like, bring it back together. And I was like, no, I'm saying this because I love you. But we got to be better.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've been fortunate to be around you when you're coaching, when you're not coaching, seen you as a dad. I mean, it's been years since you and I have talked, and you haven't, like, when we signed on, you said, hopefully I haven't changed. You haven't changed a bit. It's been awesome to see the success, and I think I may have been there the first year that you guys had beaten Clovis, and it was just, the atmosphere that you guys create in California has been phenomenal, right? I'm from Pennsylvania, so I grew up in a very wrestling rich state as well, and you guys rival us tenfold, right? Like, it is amazing to see the atmosphere you guys create, the passion that you compete with, but the passion that you do everything with, from the events to the fireworks to the inflatables. Everything has been, very high standard, and I am always going to be thankful for being able to be mat side and commentate some of those very high stakes matches. And it's even to the point now where seeing some of the wrestlers that came through your room, Matt Olguin is one of those kids where I'm just like, man, I love watching that kid when he was so much smaller. I can't believe he's a 165, 174. So like, it's always been amazing to just be around and be in your room and see what you guys have built and the culture that you lead with, and how everybody, from what I have seen, has followed your lead. And so I'm always looking out for things that Buchanan is doing, things that Clovis is doing, in Fresno in general, and like the whole valley. Like, I always have a kind of a piece of my heart there, because I spent so much time there over the years, and it's been awesome to talk to you. I appreciate you coming on here and sharing some of your philosophies and some of the years that, like I said, I was able to be there for. So I appreciate it. Thank you for coming on and chatting with me today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much to Troy for coming on and sharing his perspective. I hope you enjoyed today's conversation. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe below so you don't miss another episode of Beyond the Whistle. We'll see you next time.